Welcome to the RIM Podcast, episode 19. Today, Oviedo citizens. If you know about Oviedo Mall, you probably know the main guy, Kevin Hypes, who is a candidate running for 2022 November. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
Can you tell us about a little bit, how did you fix this beautiful mall, turn it out to a really nice one? I really love it. Living here since 1997, I usually visit this mall many times with my nieces currently, with districts and so on. But what have you done lately? I love it. It looks beautiful. What have you done and how long took you to do that?
Well, it's a project that I'm working on, and it's taking a little bit of time. The mall has been here for 20 years, and it was an all-retail mall. And these days with Amazon and other areas that have been hurting malls, COVID especially too, has accelerated the demise of some of these smaller malls. So I came along about 7 years ago actually and started working on a redevelopment plan to convert the mall into a mixed-use project. And that's what really should be here. You know, this is probably the best 90 acres left in Seminole County. It's underutilized. It's got a lot of paved over and a lot of big empty buildings. And rather than see development go on further out east and developing here in what I consider the commercial core, right at 417 and Red Bug makes perfect sense. Oviedo's growing like crazy.
Yes, it is.
And we can accommodate that growth here at the mall. So it's very consistent with the plan that the city has. And quite frankly, the residents. I've been on Facebook a lot talking about what I'm going to do, and most of them say, "Hey, this is the right thing to do." So, but we're not there yet. We've got new tenants coming in. We're now creating a medical main street.
Nice.
For one half of the mall, we're going to turn into not just medical tenants, but it'll be businesses, destination businesses who will come in and be able to kind of work here and then utilize the services here, use the restaurants, the entertainment.
Enjoying the food.
And enjoy the food. That'll also bring, customers and traffic and destination is what we really need. So I'm excited about it. We've been approved for 425 apartments and a hotel.
Nice.
On the Macy's parcel, and I believe we'll get approved for more. And I think over the next 10 years, this mall will really become an eat, sleep, work, play destination for the entire community. And then the plan is to really connect it with On the Park through various vehicles, whether it be buses or trolley cars or maybe even those unmanned vehicles.
Perfect. So I want to go straight down to the questions.
Yep.
Your family live here. You've been here a main guy. My question, we're becoming streets of Oviedo, becoming a really overpopulated, the streets, traffic. What are you going to do as a future candidate for the mayor of Oviedo?
I have my contract with the people of Oviedo that I've drafted.
What is that about?
It's really a comprehensive plan of what I want to do for the community. Okay. My first place will be the critical issues, and I have those listed as critical city issues, which is traffic and growth management, of course. It's also police and fire and safety, and also I have their clean water and protecting the environment and the and wildlife are my three big issues that I'm working on, and then beyond that is generating tax dollars by bringing in jobs and development that way. So, and then I also have what I'm calling my initiatives, which are creative ideas that I've had that I want to bring to the city. For example, I have an out of the mayor's pocket bonus program.
Okay, let me hear that. So basically, you're giving away your salary,
yes,
and you're
I am.
initializing the police officers and firefighters,
Yes.
involving them in the program. Can you tell us a little bit more and elaborate on those programs?
Sure. It's I thought about it and I said, the elected officials, the mayor and the council folks, we are part-timers, and it's only a 2-year term. And it's really the city people, the people that work at the city. Brian Cobb, the city manager, and his folks who are here full time, and they're all very professional, and they all know what they're doing. There's probably 300 city employees. I plan on going to them and giving them an incentive and motivating them by saying, if you come up with an idea that will reduce expenses for the city, or if you come up with an idea that will maybe create a new income stream, and that idea is adopted by Brian and the city and by the council, then they will get a bonus out of my pocket.
Nice.
And I'm going to put my entire $16,000 salary up for that bonus. And the police and fire will have a similar program But for them, it'll be more of a service incentive, whereby maybe they spend a lot of time after work on their own time playing basketball with kids to get relationships better, or maybe they do something that's above and beyond the call of duty, risk their lives or something. We do give out accommodations, but I would like to see them also get a bonus. I mean, our police and fire folks, I think, are the best in the county, and they're really not the highest paid. So in my opinion, these guys risk their lives. I'd like to see them better compensated, and if I can provide that in a bonus out of my pocket. You don't run for mayor for the money.
Yeah, you run to fix the cities.
It's not a big salary. You run because you love the community, and I live here. I've lived here for 8 years in Oviedo, 5 out in Geneva, 30 years I'm in Seminole County, and I own a home and 2 businesses in town. So I'm very committed to, and most folks who know me know I'm committed to turning the mall around. I want this to be the best city ever, and I want the mall really to be able to accommodate and serve this city the best it can.
Good. Question. Building, reconstruction, rehabilitating, everything comes down to the zoning issues. So if you become a mayor, what one particular zoning issue that you would focus than other mayors, prior mayors didn't do it?
That's an interesting question. I have a few thoughts on that. One is, and I don't know that this is a particular zoning issue, but I think it is. I know we're in the process of doing a future land use plan where we're changing some of the parcels and rezoning them, the comprehensive plan, to give them more density. And the reasoning is to maybe focus the growth of the city in certain areas so that we don't sprawl so much. And I totally agree with that. But there is one parcel that's in that future land use change, which is the 60 acres over near on the park, that I would rather see not in that plan. I just think there's too much traffic on Mitchell Hammock right now. I don't think there's a rush to overdevelop that area. That area has already been overdeveloped, and everybody knows that's where the traffic problems are. And I don't see where there's a rush to put that in that area. So if I could rezone something, and I won't be able to vote on that. That's coming up, I think, this next month. And I'll be, if I get elected, I won't be involved in that. So it'll be kind of already a done deal, so to speak. But I have another idea, too. When I was a commissioner in Sanford, I can remember situations coming up where there would be an apartment complex going up in an area that didn't seem like it fit there. Maybe 5-acre ranches and things like that. And I remember people coming into the meetings, hundreds of people, and saying, hey, you can't do this. And very often, the applicant who owns the land has the right to develop the land based on the comprehensive plan. Well, a lot of folks who bought those ranches in areas like that didn't realize that the comprehensive plan had been changed to make that a future growth area. Very often, those changes are made and announced and publicized, but nobody shows up at those meetings. They only show up when the apartment complex is going up. And at that point, the applicant has a legal right to build the apartment complex. So I've always felt that that was a little unfair. We've always made developers work with the local community when in fact they don't really want something built next to them. But what I'd like to see is, I'd like to see the real estate agents, the residential real estate agents who show houses and properties to people. I feel like that's something they should be obligated to disclose. Not just disclose if it's got a leaky roof or a cracked foundation, but disclose the future land use of that area so that that buyer can say, holy cow, you mean this, my horse ranch here in 20 years could actually be apartments? Across the street, yes, future land use. I'm not buying it. Or I buy it understanding that, because that's the time to make a decision. And I find that the residential agents have no obligation to tell what the future land use is. And the buyer doesn't find out till after they own the house and the apartments go up.
Nice, nice. So now let's say I'm a builder, a proposal come to your city as a mayor or future candidates, and it's a public infrastructure piece, either a bridge or overpass the bridge. So how do you gonna evaluate that we have the most sufficient budget using the taxpayers' money? And is there a great budget or not great budget? How are you gonna do the financial determination on behalf of that?
Well, we have some very highly paid people on our staff. We have Jerry, who's really a financial, very, very strong financial guy, and Brian Cobb, of course. And, we have highly paid staff because we expect them to really handle most of those details for us. But as far as budgeting, though, I'm a very conservative guy. I don't like wasting money. So the council has a chance to review those budgets and see see exactly what's happening. Our tax base is really based on, of course, the money that comes in from the neighborhoods and the businesses. I believe we got to generate more jobs. If we can generate a lot more jobs, and we can accommodate a lot of them at the mall, that'll bring more tax base. We have to find new streams of income and tax base to be able to fund some of the things that we need in the city. We can't just keep raising the taxes on the folks. So if we bring in, I know that apartments bring in pretty good taxes too, but we don't want that to be the only stream. You know, we certainly want, like I said, jobs, employment. I mean, there's a lot of, this is a wonderful place to live.
Yes, it is.
And it's a bedroom community, and we're only 25 minutes from Orlando.
Yeah.
This would be a great place for big corporations, high-tech companies, or light manufacturing to come and open up jobs. I've got an empty Sears building at the mall that's 120,000 square feet.
Oh, wow.
That could be a couple of hundred jobs right there.
Easily.
That would not only drive traffic into the mall and bring it back to life, that would give us a great tax base.
And commuting to work is much more
Yeah,
easy.
and maybe we need to make the incentives for big companies like that a little bit stronger. Right now we do have incentives, but they're limited. So maybe we increase the incentives there. That could help the tax base too.
Great. Let's say you get between 10, 15, 20, $30 million grants from the federal help in regard to the city. They allow you an idea what you're going to do it and how you're going to do it.
Wow, I'm getting 20, 30 million bucks.
Yes.
That doesn't happen every day.
It doesn't happen every day, but it does happen on the podcast. You want to ask you, what would you do?
We'd have to be very careful with that
Okay.
kind of money, what you want to do. You want to think it through. You want to consult, again, with your staff, your team, and, of course, the other councilmen, and think it through. But I can think of a few things off the top of my head. You know, I know that there was I believe it's the old post office.
Okay.
When they moved from this little building over by the bank there, the
Yes,
Citizens
down by
Bank,
the Oviedo
and they
City.
moved over to that shopping center. That post office was supposed to be a senior citizen center.
Wow.
And from what I understand, that's not happened. So I'd love to take some of that money and get ourselves a nice senior citizen center. Senior citizens are very close to my heart. I'm an elder at my church, and I'm a preacher, and I actually preach in retirement centers on Sunday mornings. And I got to tell you, that's probably the most fun hour of my week. I mean, to crack a joke and put a smile on an 85-year-old woman's face in a wheelchair on a Sunday morning, and
It's priceless.
you can't buy that with money.
No, you
know,
can't.
so I bring my guitar and I sing songs and I do a little thing, but that's one thing. I don't want to get sidetracked, I guess. Another thing is that there was a time where we had and some of these may be planned. I'm not the mayor, so I don't really know all the details, but it wasn't too long ago that we had a big fire in one of those apartment complexes, and we don't have a ladder truck that could reach that stuff. And from what I understand, we had to wait maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes for a ladder truck to come from Seminole County to be able to help
Fire
that.
department.
And we can't take a chance like that on fire safety. So if I had that money, I'd go buy a brand new fire truck right away.
Equip them with
Yep,
nice
and there's other things I'm sure that the city has a list of things that maybe they really need. Some of it I would probably pay down debt
Yeah.
because we don't really want to have debt if we don't have to. So
Nice. Now I got a question because a lot of people are moving from other state to our state. Nobody talks about schools because schools are getting in classrooms. We used to be 25, 30 students. Now we start to seeing 40, 50 students. As a future mayor, what are we going to do in regards to that?
well, schools are actually controlled by the county,
Okay.
not by the mayor, not by the city. But I'm a big proponent of people having the option to choose whether they go to a public school or a private school. I think everybody should have the right to decide, the parents, what kind of an education they want their kids to get. And with every child comes a tax dollar. It might be, I don't know, $2,000 or something per kid. They should be able to take that as a voucher and go to, if they don't like the school they're at, if it's not right for their kids, they should be able to go to a different school and educate their kids. So I'm big on the parents having a lot of say and a lot of control in the schools. Again, that's not something that the city deals with. And of course, you have to have a lot of schools to
Can you
support the
encourage
growth.
them as a
Yes.
developer?
Well, I think very often when developers come to the table and start asking for things, I think as a smart businessman, I would ask for things too.
Okay.
It's when I was commissioner in Sanford, the council or the commission up there thought it was a pretty good thing to have a guy with development experience sitting on their side of the table negotiating with developers, because I know how they work and I know how they think. They're not bad people, they're just like us. They got wives and kids, but they're going to push to get all they can out of a city. And I have the experience to push back and make sure that they pay their fair share. And if they want to develop a piece of property and it makes sense for us, we might just have to make them donate some land for a school.
Beautiful, beautiful. So my last question, if there is anything that like I said, was in any show, if I have something hide, I mean, we did the discovery, ask you the questions, and you look it up in the camera and say, listen, future Oviedo citizen, this is the way you want to vote for me. Why would you vote for me? That's your minute, man.
All right, great. Well, first of all, like I said, I've lived here a long time. 30 years in the county, 8 years in the city, and I have 2 businesses and I own a home. But I am very sincere. You know, folks look at me as the guy that runs the mall, but you know, I've raised my family here. I think it's a wonderful place to live, and I want what's best for the city. And some of these programs, some of the ones that we really didn't get to, are my community programs. Those are the ones that are really the closest to my heart. Yes, I'm going to fix the city's issues as best I can. Yes, I'm going to create incentive programs and things, creative ideas out of the box to help the city be more efficient. But the social programs, I think, are even better. You know, I want people in this town to give back, the ones that are successful, to give some back. I've had some personal experiences. I never went to college. You know, I'm a street kid from Queens. I had long hair. And when I tried to make the change from blue collar to white collar, it was a pretty difficult thing because I didn't have the confidence, I didn't have the education. And I had a guy that kind of mentored me through that. So I'm going to be starting a foundation that helps mentor people to get better jobs. Even if the jobs go up to 15 bucks an hour, you can't really live on that. Folks like that need someone to help them get to that next level. That's just one of my my programs. I also want to help folks that have disabilities or mental health issues. You know, you can go to a doctor and get cured of a mental health problem. I know that people don't know this about me, and maybe I'm going on too much, but I struggled with depression for most of my life. When I was 18 years old, I got a depression that knocked my socks off, and every 2 to 3 years it would come back. And the only reason why I made it through is because I knew it would eventually pass. It would take sometimes a week, sometimes a month. And it got to a point when I was 50 years old where it was such a bad depression that I actually had to resign as a commissioner up in Sanford. Wow. But you know what? I went to a doctor. You know, back in the 70s, you don't go to a doctor. Yeah. You just hide it, and you just tough it out and say, well, everybody has this. Mm-hmm. But at 50, it kind of knocked me out. I went to a doctor. I got diagnosed. I got medication. And I have not one depressed day, not one in the last 15 years.
Nice. Great job.
But one of the hardest parts, though, is going from that scenario to get back in the workforce. I can remember being a little uneasy, lack of confidence, almost embarrassed. And I want to be able to counsel people through that process because I've been through it. And I use that experience a lot at church as an elder because I counsel people. Right. And then, of course, my last program is what I talked about earlier, is the retirement folks. I have the retirement folks are just on my heart, so I want to be able to encourage folks to give something back to them too in this community, and I think it's like pay it forward. You give to the community and you get it back. So
beautiful. So if there is how they can reach you out, where they can find you, and what's your phone number? So leave it out.
Great. So you can find me on my political webpage. It's iLikeHypes.com. You can go there and just look at some of my stuff. Matter of fact, my contract will be up there shortly. I think it's up there now, actually, but I don't think you can expand it and read it. So I printed out a big one that I'm going to be bringing to all the places that I go so everybody can read it. But I also hand out 11 by 17 size so it can be read. But pretty soon it'll be out in such a way that it can be easily read because I do want people to read it. You can call me on my cell phone 24/7, and if those of you who talk to me on Facebook about the mall, I answer every question. I answer it quickly and honestly and transparently. That's just the way I am. It's not always the answer somebody wants, but my phone number is 407-416-6832.
Perfect. Thank you so much. There was a podcast episode 19, and our special guest was Kevin Hypes, candidate for Oviedo mayor. Thank you so much. Please like, share, comment, post, redistribute, and we'll give all information to our guest. Thank you so much for being our guest.
Thank you.